Hello everybody, this is Get Games, and welcome back to War Thunder with another replay. And the scoreboard just now is this a match I just played, and it was a really cool match with my T44-122 again. And at this match, I had activated a 75% Silver Lion booster and a 150% research booster. And I was gonna try to get as be as careful as possible, trying to survive, get those points. And I don't know why I'm starting to look at this thing, but there's a pretty little AA gun, I guess. I'll wait until the thing starts up. I guess. Where am I? There we go. Couldn't find my username. Yeah, 122. Back in the city. I love this map, guys. It's by far my favorite map, I would say, because it's just such an enjoyable map. Now, we started out already pretty good, just waiting as a team to get as many people in the gap together as possible. When in charging, this little T44-85 was kind of poor. This guy says M10, and they both shot each other, and it just died right there. But we just moved up towards C. A little M18 had captured C already. Here you can see him just rolling out there. I did spot a tank radar Panther, and I was like, nope. I am not gonna push out randomly for that. I'm just gonna go right here. And I saw that guy, and I just one-shotted him right through the front of the plate. T44 was moving up, and not sure what he was trying to do, but he got stuck and got shot by a tiger. I wasn't sure where the tiger was, so I was just sitting here until my reload was finished for quite a while before I actually decided to move out. But I was like, where the hell is that tiger? Couldn't see him. Like, okay, I'm gonna push out. Being really careful. I didn't see him, but for some reason he didn't see me either for the moment there. That's a really funny, hilarious moment. He was aiming at the... Oops. Come on, come back here. He was aiming at the IS-2 that was rolling up on the left there. And I think that's why he didn't see me popping up right in his face. Helped capturing B. Got me quite a lot of points. And I then saw quite a few target notifications in the town. So we proceeded going back into the town. Then it was first one spot. Right first. Right there. I didn't notice that Tiger 2 right there, but like, boop. I got one shot I wanted to push up, and then I noticed that Tiger 2 H right there. That Tiger 2 H lasted through so much. There was like a dozen of different guys right there shooting him all up. I got repaired. I shot him right into the turret. It wasn't a kill shot, but I did the same. I figured like, okay, he's gonna die in the next shot. I wouldn't have time to reload. I'm just gonna go ahead towards the capture zone. And well, pretty much this is where most of it was done. Got the point. And I went on to the spawn zone. At some point, you just start really, like, everybody's doing it. Some are just gonna go to the spawn because there's really like nothing else to do. So I was using the main road because it's just a little bit faster. I wanted to try get a kill shot on that guy because he was being like notified out on the map for quite a while there, but nobody seemed to get a kill shot on there. But I was just a little bit late, and it was just one more Tiger E left, and I was like looking at it, And I got him in my sights right there. And I got the kill shot there. And with that, all the enemy team was done. There were no more respawns on their side, and then the complete went faster. It was like, oop, no more people. There it goes. And I want to literally just it for the match. It was quite a short match, but I got 2,000 points. And with that, like, I used the booster. I got a trophy with a reward of 10,000. But basically, I got 8.5 thousand research in my T44, which now only is down to 6,000. I almost got it. And I got more than enough money to actually buy it as well. Which is great. Because 6.3, after this I'm probably going for some heavy tanks maybe? It's been a while since I got any heavy tanks. The KVT was the last one. Kind of rushed in on the medium tanks since I got the T44-122 and I really wanted that T44 simply because it has 10 millimeters extra frontal armor here and quite a bit of armor here, and basically the frontal plate is almost invincible. Lower plate might not be, but the upper plate is pretty invincible, and this is still a really bouncy turret similar to the normal one. And the gun is still, like, with my normal T34 85, like, if I die I respawn, and most of the time I respawn in this 85. And this 85 and the 44 both have the same gun, so it doesn't really matter there. Just like a big armor upgrade between those two. And I just really want it. Still got the SU 100s, the ISUs, 122s. And like the ASU 50, the ASU 85, sorry. And the IS2 mod 1944 at 6.3 as well. These things are pretty bouncy front of plate, pretty strong as well, but a lower plate is quite weak, and the flat turret is still quite weak. That's a flat front. Like, if they just decided to, like, do this little piece right here at like 20 to 30 millimeter right there, it probably would have helped quite a bit in that design. But it would make it more complicated, and that's probably why they did it like that in the actual war. Because all of these tanks here are really like mass production focused. They're like used as little pieces as possible. And it's just like as crudely designed as possible as well. And the in-game model you can actually is pretty well done. But in reality, it really wasn't that pretty. This was more like the way you would see it. The bent piece of metal, the rough welds, nothing would be polished. That's actually like quite opposite in comparison to the normal items. Wait, let me get this thing off here. This is actually like a really roughed up Panther. Normally it would be actually be prettier than this. Like it would be an almost like there would be perfect welds. You can also see like here the welds would be much cleaner here in the model. But in real life actually too, I've actually visited some of the tank museums and whatnot. I'm actually quite a tank geek in real life as well, so this is not something you would see in reality. Only on one that has seen a lot of combat, but factory default, those things would be perfect. In Russia, not so much. Germany really was like, we want those tanks to be perfect when they roll off the assembly line. That was actually one of their pitfalls as well, because of course if you take more time per tank to perfect them, like make it perfect before them sending them out, I mean at some point they're gonna get shot and blown up anyways. And that's what the Russians thought as well. So like basically that was what the Russians thought. Basically they were like, okay, it's gonna get shot anyways, so it only has to last until it gets shot. and then you just get a new one. If it breaks down, you just get a new one. So they had often, like, especially with T-34s, you would see literally gaps right here in the armor and right there in the armor. In the older models. Great, let me see if I can get one of the. See here the little gap right here? Little line. Basically, you would often see like a 2 or 3 centimeter gap in between there. There's the armor. Really was really poorly designed, actually. Like, well, executed. Like, the design is simple, so was made so simple that they can, like, even though the tanks of the Germans were just objectively better. I mean, a Panther, like, the Russians really had difficulty penetrating. Like, you can also see, like, the later Panthers, they were, like, here in the game, they were 6.0 in Matchmaker, and here you can see how the T44-85, especially early models, is only 5.3. So also this game also acknowledges how the Panther is stronger. But the problem is there, the Panther, basically for every one Panther or one Tiger 2, there were basically 10 T-34-85s. And really that's why, logistically seen, Germany lost the war. Basically because even though in your size, like when you're sitting in one of these Tiger 2s, it's like those T-34-85s are a cannon fodder, basically. You just shoot them down left and right. But when you're actually on the battlefield, it's also like they keep on coming and they keep on coming, and they just never stop coming. And at some point, one is gonna get like right up next to you or so close they can actually like get through that front of the turret. Or you're just gonna get nicked. You're just gonna get knocked out. It's actually like a really interesting design philosophy. In comparison, like basically in Germany, they basically said we're gonna give you money per tank, and if the tank is better, you're gonna get more money. And they put it entirely at the corporations. So they wanted to get really good tanks, but they would never deliver a lot of them. So that's why you see really good tanks there, but low numbers. While in Russia, they were like, you make tank, or you go to Gulag. Yeah, I'm not really good at Russian accents, but they didn't care about welds or whatever. Just get. They just wanted, like, we want 10 tanks in this period of time. Go. And that's what happened in Russia. America, they actually did it slightly different as well. Basically, what they did, if you have, like, one of these M4 tanks, what they did is, like, one corporation was pre-war was making, let's say, cars. They would often have like 2 or 3 different parts in the assembly, and one of them would be engine, for example, and one of them would be car body. They basically said the car body is gonna be working on the tank body, while the other one is gonna be working on the engines. And after you're done, you just send them to a centralized assembly plant where they all get constructed together. So all the parts were sent to one assembly, produced at separate locations. And all those locations were good at what they were tasked to make. And that's why they get like a mass production. But that mass production was like slightly lower numbers per power, but slightly higher quality than the Russians. Russians, they just said, okay, this entire tank is going to be designed at this location. For example, the M4A1, M4, there's 2 bodies. Basically, they were just by 2 different manufacturers. Really, like M4, they had square body. They had these extra add-on plates. Like some variants do not have these would have not have these add-on plates, or have these dirt screens right here. Some of them would have had it, some of them don't. Basically, just depending on what assembly plant they came from, you might see those or not. And that makes for some like really interesting different ways of designing tanks. Like, as far as I know, like I didn't really get too much into history of the production of the British tanks, but there were, as far as I know, at least there were like a lot of Lend-Lease programs, but they had a similar production system as the Americans. They weren't really like that much different, but they were less efficient. So they had basically had both worth cool, like they had probably like equal quality, but like worse production rate. I do say I still love this short show. Like, it's not offending it. I'm not trying to be offending it to them, but they just produce these tanks with like design philosophies that were just outdated at some point. Like, they were still expecting World War I stuff with the flat armor and whatever, and they really lag behind there. So that's why you can see, like, even though their tanks are quite heavy, quite strong, just because they're just like flat like this is why they really don't do much. Like, in this space, you could probably mount a 100mm gun in this like giant box, and you could like change the armor layout to be like fairly sloped, and you could actually make quite a deadly tank destroyer out of this chassis. But they decided just to pop a box in there, and well, France, they didn't really produce many tanks. Like, even here, like, you got a Sherman, a M10, and a Jumbo right here as kind of replacement tanks, and then like a premium variant of a Sherman and a normal Sherman as well. Have like long 75 guns compared to the shorter 75s of the Shermans. Earlier, so like you really see like they're missing out on tanks. I mean, like all the tanks afterwards, after the Jumbo and the ARL, it all post World War II. I mean, this is 1972 even. Like, they're really way more modern tanks right there than in most other nations. Japan did, like, build their own tanks at one single factory plant. And they did have, like, quite good quality of the tanks on their own rights. But they had little experience to no experience with tank building, and with the island warfare and whatever, they didn't really produce many tanks to begin with, because they really just didn't need them. They were guerrilla tactics, and you wouldn't really like often see tanks from the Japanese, simply because they're just way more rare. They got like pretty powerful tanks. Like after the Hori, like the SCA and all the other stuff here are like post-war, and you can also see like captured M24s, Sherman 76s, M41s, M42s, all captured vehicles as well. Like you can really see like at the end war, they really were lacking any tanks, and you can also like that's also like kind of represented this tech tree how they get like support vehicles from other factions. There's also like some random history stuff here in between. Like with me with War Thunder, I have a tendency to talk about the history of tanks quite often. Even though I don't have to, I just like to talk about them. And if you guys know some fun facts about this, just feel free to comment about it and have a nice little discussion there. And that's not like, even though I didn't really show that much gameplay, hope you guys enjoy watching. And that's it. Hope you guys, again, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys all later. Bye, guys.